It's probably where they test BOWs.
We don't get many visitors here. Welcome, as fellow soldiers.
I'm sure you understand the thrill of battle, and the rush that comes with the feeling of being alive after a good battle.
Another Umbrella Psycho.
Introduce
The latest in Umbrella's product line. Codename T-A.L.O.S. A pinnacle of biological weaponry, all controlled by the Red Queen computer. The ultimate weapon.
Rockets?
We need to shoot them down.
So this is what they've been developing.
What do we do now? Nothing seems to be working.
We have to find a weakness. If they can make it, we can break it. I hope this is wearing it down.
He's a tough one.
Nothing's getting through that armor.
We have to take its protection out.
The moment of truth.
This should be interesting.
Isn't he done fighting yet?
You're hurt. Stay back. It's just a matter of time. Let's finish him.
Unfortunately, T-A.L.O.S is out of control. The T-virus inside of its body will continue to mutate until even a god cannot control it.
He transformed? That did the trick.
Chris, aim for that tear in the shoulder and chest.
Concentrate fire!
Right.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Chris, look out. Watch the tentacles.
Take it out! Damn! Better not get close!
Stay on your toes. Look, there.
Yeah, I see it. That must be its weak spot. Even the great Achilles had his heel. Jill! The mouth! Only made this one to last. They're done for. We struck a fatal blow.
The end of Umbrella is just a question of time. But
Yeah. He's still out there.
The T-A.L.O.S project Umbrella placed so much faith in had failed. However, Chris and the others were a little too quick to pat themselves on the back. It was not by justice or fate that they would prevail against Umbrella that day. No, it was only with my help that they were able to succeed. The only thing that can defeat power is more power. Ironic, perhaps, but the truth can be so cruel.
And so we get to the finale of Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles, the Russian oil derrick level, where Jill and Chris have helicoptered in to take down Umbrella once and for all, apparently tracking down their final project results to this location and trying to clean it out altogether. The final project results were called T-A.L.O.S, which was the thing we just fought. T-A.L.O.S is an upgraded version of the Tyrant project from the original game, modified heavily with the addition of the rocket launcher and a ton of armor. And likewise, T-A.L.O.S is the biggest pain in the ass in the entire frickin' game. I probably died to this guy somewhere between a dozen and 20 times, all combined together, because he just pulls all of the dick moves that you expect from a shitty low-grade boss fight, attempting to be climactic and just being ungodly frustrating. Basically, he just has a ton of health and a ton of projectile attacks. It takes forever to do any damage to him, and his weak spot only appears when he decides that it is. Basically, it's every crappy thing that Umbrella Chronicles has designed into it, happening all at once. Honestly, the first phase isn't even the hardest part of it. Yeah, you have to be pretty quick on the trigger to destroy all of his rockets and make sure that you're also quick on the QTEs, because if you get any damage in this boss fight, it can accumulate very frickin' fast and completely destroy your attempt to get the first phase done. Thankfully, Capcom did do one thing correctly in this boss fight, and that was having a mid-boss checkpoint. Because once you get to the second phase, you are going to be damned well needing it, because it just ramps up the problems to the nth degree and makes it a lot worse. The second phase of the T-A.L.O.S boss fight almost broke me personally as a player, and I just didn't want to play the game anymore, honestly, getting to this point. This late in the game was a frickin' hassle, because the game has a difficulty curve throughout every level consistently, which means that even at the start of this fourth level in the game, this fourth story, you are getting dogpiled by enemies left and right. But T-A.L.O.S here, just frickin' takes all the frickin' cakes that the Portal community has given to everybody. Frankly, the laser attacks that it has aren't too bad because they can just be dodged with a couple very easy QTs unless you get the Wiimote shaking QT, which is kind of hit and miss. But the biggest one is the tentacle attack through the walls. This attack can seriously go screw itself. This was just an incredibly terrible idea for an on-rail shooter. And probably every genre imaginable. To have these tiny little targets, these tiny little hitboxes, having 5 or 6 of them all at once, and only giving you a tiny window to get them out of the way before they end up attacking you. And if you hadn't managed to get at least a few gone by the time they do start attacking, well, your health's gonna frickin' drain like nobody's business. And then if you manage to survive all the bullshit, all the QTs, you eventually get a chance to hack at his weak spot, which is very obvious, and allows you to take around a quarter to a third of his health, as long as you're able to get a full barrage of bullets out before the weak spot goes away. And then you have to repeat the whole thing all over again. Trying to get through this alive once or twice the cycles is hard enough already, not counting the 4 times or the 5 times that you need to do it in order to get the full boss fight over with. It is a slog, definitionally. It is so freaking bad to complete this boss fight because it is straight out of the Capcom guidebook of what not to design a boss fight to do, and that is be as frustrating as hell in an attempt to be climactic. Yeah, T-A.L.O.S is supposed to be the ultimate bioorganic weapon, but this is taking it too frickin' far. Even Nemesis fights, Nemesis encounters in Resident Evil 3 gave you a chance a lot of the time to just run away from Nemesis because he's so freaking hard to deal with. T-A.L.O.S, you get no such quarter. You have to straight up do it or die trying, and if you got this far in the game, you are going to be dying quite a lot. And it really is a shame too, because again, T-A.L.O.S has such a great design. It's at the end of at least a decent story involving Sergei Vladimir, or whatever his last name is, who is one of the best characters that Capcom has given to the Resident Evil series just because of how cliched and over the top he was. And frankly, as much as I'm giving shit to T-A.L.O.S deservedly, the level overall is actually a lot of decent work for the game, because from what I've seen in the Wikipedia entries, it seems like the final Russian oil derrick level, it's unique to this game. Capcom actually put in the work to create an entirely new level and an entirely new story to add to Umbrella Chronicles to actually give it some justification for existing, giving us a showcase of Umbrella's actual downfall, the killing of their final project. Of course, if Umbrella Corporation is still around in some form by Resident Evil 5 or Resident Evil 6, they're going to continue making Tyrants, because they're getting close to the ultimate formula for their BOWs. So they're not going to stop. Even though T-A.L.O.S is completely fucked, they got the data out of its battle with Jill and Chris so they can move on to T-A.L.O.S 2, or T-A.L.O.S Omega, or T-A.L.O.S Capricorn, or whatever the fuck they're going to name it next. They can name it Serial, it doesn't matter. But even with all these ideas out in the open, and this timeline, you know, ripe for continuation, T-A.L.O.S himself is a fucking awful boss fight. Nearly the true definition for what to not do with a final boss fight, and take all the satisfaction away from such a set piece, and replace it with white-hot, boiling rage directed at something so difficult, something so impossible to beat down, and something so granite difficult that you have to continually chip away at it, as well as it's chipping away at your patience. All the attacks are just either badly implemented ideas or amazingly difficult missteps. The first form, the second form, they both have huge glaring problems that should have been ironed out, but I guess Capcom probably didn't put in as much effort as was needed to get this level where it should have been in an on-rail shooter capacity. Which is a real shame for something that they built from the ground up for this game specifically, if you ask me. T-A.L.O.S could have been a cool moment, it could have been the highlight of the whole game, but Capcom stepped off the line so many goddamn times that they probably just fell over and hit the road with their face.